welcome everybody. This is Ahavaya, also known as Juliet. Welcome back to my channel, and for those of you that are new, welcome. This video is a plant tour of my living room area, and this will be the last plant tour that I do in this space or in this apartment as we are moving shortly. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and here we go. So the first thing that you see when you come into the space from the front door is this space that I'm currently using as a dining room. It previously was in a different area. However, we used that space for something else, so we moved the dining room in this area. And the first plant that you'll see here is my Monstera Adensonia, which has some yellowing leaves there. The soil I believe that I have it in is very high draining, and so it doesn't seem to retain the moisture. So when I'm not on it, this is what happens. I get yellow leaves, but I love this plant so much. I love how big the leaves are. Currently they are giving me small leaves because since I brought them back inside since summertime, I haven't quite found the perfect spot for them yet, but only time will tell. So we'll see how they'll fare in the new area, but I love this plant so much. Next plant is my red Princess Philodendron. This is another plant that I love also, with its huge and massive dark leaves. There's a new spike right there for a new leaf that will be coming up shortly, and another tiny little one over there that I accidentally ripped off to the top. But this plant is so beautiful. I accidentally burnt off this leaf here as it was pressed onto the window, sitting on the window ledge, and it's cold here, so this is what happened to it. But it's got plenty of leaves and it's doing very well. Next we have my Silver Bay Aglaonema, and it is doing very well. I'm so happy with it. The only issue right now is actually that I had to cut off or take off a lot of its leaves because there was some cold damage. Also, several of its leaves froze. There were some leaves that were worse than others, so I lost a lot of foliage on this plant. Sad about it, but it's doing well. It's recovered just fine, and it even has a flower blooming, a couple flowers that are coming out. And I just wanted to ask y'all guys, so to cut or not to cut, that is the question. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know, would you cut off these blooms? I was told that they resemble the blooms or the flowers of peace lilies, maybe on a larger scale, but generally they tend to suck the life out of the plant itself, so most people cut them off. But what do you think I should do? Let me know in the comments. Should I cut them off or leave them on? Next, I have my golden Pothos. This Pothos I've had for a while, and I've actually cut it a couple of times, propagated the leaves, and replanted them back into the pot for a fuller pot. But it is flourishing and it is thriving here. I'm growing longer and longer every day, so I think I'm gonna let it grow out a little bit longer, then I'll cut it down and propagate some more. But it's a beauty. I love it. My Right, so on my dining table here, I have another Pothos. This one is mostly consisting of Marble Queen Pothos cuttings, but as you can see, there are a couple. I think there is a cutting of the golden Pothos, or a couple cuttings of the golden Pothos in this pot. But it's a propagation. It's made up of a whole bunch of cuttings that I took from my other Pothos plants. Right, so I tend to switch out the plant that I leave out on the dining table, but this is the one that I have currently. Up next is my Dracaena messangina, my corn plant that I purchased almost 2 years ago, and it is growing so beautifully. It has grown, had some shoots coming off of the cane part of the plant. I cut one off recently, and this is the most recent one that came out. But it's growing beautifully. I'm going to root that other part that the new shoot that came out. I'm going to root that in water and plant it in a new pot, and then hopefully sometime in the future I'll be able to plant it into either its own pot or join it to the mother pot. Next up is my Marble Queen Pothos, mostly Marble Queen Pothos. This pot is made up of 2 smaller plants that I had. They were in my last plant tour as well, but they were separate, so I merged them together and everything is perfect here. Next up is my mistletoe cactus, my Rhipsalis. I love Rhipsalises so much. If it were up to me, my whole house would be full of Rhipsalises hanging from the ceiling. They are so beautiful, so whimsical. The Rhipsalis, it's kind of tricky because if you touch it too much and if you're not gentle with it, the leaves will drop off, but hopefully they drop back into the pot and then root and then grow some more cactus. But it's a beautiful plant and I love it so much. So this is what this side of my home is looking like, and we'll be moving on to the other side of my home by the window on a small table that we have here. You'll see these 3 plants here on the table, starting off with this mother fern that I purchased from Home Depot maybe a year ago, maybe less than that, actually less than a year ago. It's growing beautifully. For some time I had it in my washroom under on artificial lighting because there was no window in the washroom, but I had it there. It was fine, it was staying alive. However, the leaves were not growing big at all. They were very tiny, so I decided to bring it out here for it to get some natural lighting, and it's doing well. Next up we have my Easter cactus. This pot is actually made up of 3 really small, I think they were like 4-inch pots that I picked them up in. They were actually on sale at the end of the summer season a couple summers ago. So I recently joined 2 pots together. One pot had 1 plant and the other had 2 plants in it. They're not growing the way I want them to grow, and they haven't flowered since I picked them up. I've been moving them around a lot, but hopefully in the new place I'll be able to see some growth and hopefully see some flowers on them next season around. Next up is this Ficus Tuneke, Ficus elastica tuneke that I've had for almost 2 years now as well. This plant is not doing very well for me. I had to cut off the top because nothing was happening. I tried propagating that didn't work, so that was thrown out. But this stem grew out on the side and it's growing, but it's not growing as big as I wanted to. the leaves are coming up smaller more recently, and so I guess it's not as happy as it needs to be. And it's also the off season, right? The no growth season really, so I shouldn't expect too much, but hopefully it's able to yield some bigger leaves in the summertime, the upcoming summer season, and we'll see how that goes. Next, in this corner over here, on this ledge, I have some plants that are either propagations or need some TLC. They either have thrips or they're just taking some time and are having some trouble growing. But over here under my bird cage, I have a whole bunch of propagations, as well as, you know, smaller plants that I didn't have anywhere really to put them. And so here we have my Philodendron Brazil that I picked up from IKEA almost 2 years now, I would say. Also, it had a slow time adjusting to my environment, but I think I have it under control now. Next up is Ella, my Hawaiian Sunshine Dracaena that I've had for a very long time. I think I've had it since 2019. Wow. So it's been almost 4 years that I've had it. We had some trouble. It looks like it's, you know, a lot of the leaves that are coming up now are drying up. And so I don't know, I might give it up to someone else in the near future to see if they have better luck with it. Stay tuned for that. Next is this golden Pothos propagation. So it's it actually has also some Marble Queen cuttings or propagations in there as well, but that whole pot is made of cuttings from my other plants. This here is a small pot from a pup that I took off of my money tree, my big money tree that I no longer have. It had like 5 stems weaved together, but they all died. But I managed to take some pups off of them before they all died. So that's one of them. The next plant is another Pothos propagation pot. This one is mostly made up of Marble Queen Pothos cuttings, and so that's that. Here is my bird's nest Sansevieria or Dracaena. That one I have had for quite some time, going on maybe 3 years now as well. I used to have 2 of them. I used to call them Thing 1 and Thing 2, but now it's only this one left, so Thing 1. And we're keeping it alive. Please don't mind all these bird feathers. I need to do better with washing and keeping the leaves clean on most of my plants surrounding my birds, but I'm doing my best, guys. Next up is this cactus, actually, that I picked up over the summer, and it's doing well. It's very tiny. It's in a tiny pot. I think it's in a 2-inch pot or smaller, but actually, yeah, it's a 2-inch pot, but it's doing well. It's doing fine. I rarely watered that. I just touch to see how soft it is, and if it's soft, I water it. I bottom water it, and it's good to go. Next, I have the cutting that I took of the pup from my my Dracaena messangina, my corn plant. So hopefully that roots soon. Next thing is this grafted cactus here that I picked up also from Home Depot. Here I have a propagation set up, a cup set up for this dolphin string of dolphins, sorry, and it's now growing roots, so I'm happy with that. But this is actually a strand or vine that fell off the mother plant, which I actually have in my bedroom. There are a few plants in my bedroom. We're not going to go into there today, but this is a strand or vine that fell off, and I just wanted to experiment and see how its roots grow and how long they grow. The next piece of cutting I have here is of a Monstera Adamsonia, a small one. I think I took it from, I'm not too sure actually where I took it from, whether it's from my big pot of Monstera Adensonia, or if it's from my small pot that I bought separately from a plant shop here in Milton. Next up, we have this beautiful accident that's happened here in this bowl, with the dust all over the cover, but it's a bowl of sphagnum moss that I have kept moist just in case I needed to propagate something. But it looks like we have some ferns of some sort growing in here, and it's a perfect condition for it. And I'm just gonna see what this becomes. I might transfer it and create a terrarium for it. Never done it before, but it'll be an experiment, so I'll keep y'all posted if I decide to do that. Okay, on the ledge by the window I have some plants and propagations, as I mentioned, and I have plants that I have bugs on them. Thrips are the pain in my side, really, in my household. I don't really get in much of the other bugs, but the thrips are a pain in my backside. They are currently on this fiddle leaf fig cutting that I have growing here. I took off of my big fiddle leaf plant before I decided to give it away because it had thrips all over it and I couldn't get them to go away. But I'm keeping an eye on it and I'm doing my best to keep the thrips away. Same with this Ficus Burgundy that I purchased from that plant shop in Milton almost 2 years ago, I would say, and it has thrips as well, and I'm trying to stay on top of it, but your girl is busy. Also, this cactus also had thrips. I'm just keeping an eye on it right now. I think it doesn't have much thrips on it anymore, or any at all, but we'll keep an eye on it still and see how it goes. Next to it, I forgot what this plant is called, but I picked this up from Walmart and it was beautiful, but not anymore, and I think I might throw it out if I can't keep it alive. We'll see. Next up is my ZZ plant, one of my favorite plants, because to be honest with you, as they say in all the YouTube videos, this plant is indestructible and it is just chill. It just wants to be watered once in a blue moon and just left alone. It just wants to be left alone. But it has a whole new set of stems that have grown out for me, about 6 of them, and they're so beautiful. For me, this plant grows in the fall and winter seasons. Let me know if it's the same for you guys, if it's not very active in the summer months but very active in the winter and cold months. That's my experience. Let me know. Next plant is my Monstera Adensonia, the big mother plant that I took the cuttings for the hanging Monstera that I showed you at the beginning of my plant tour. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm trying to get this one to grow up, but I'm not really doing much for it to attach to the moss pole. I'm not misting the pole or watering the pole as I need to, but I hope to have more time to do so when we move, in order for the roots to attach into the moss pole so that it could grow up on its own. But we'll see about that. Next up is my peace lily, the Stathophyllum, I think it's called, And I picked this plant up from IKEA. They actually had it in the as is section. Poor plant. It needed water. It was wilted very badly. I'll insert an image, but it was wilted very badly when I first picked it up. And when I brought it home, I gave it a good bottom watering, left it in there for at least 30 minutes and took it out, and it plumped right up. It's just doing well. It's growing just fine, and hopefully flourishes in a new home. Next up is my Ficus Burgundy. My Ficus Burgundy that I love so much. It's actually made up of two separate plants that I bought and picked up from Home Depot. Maybe I think about 2 years ago as well. I merged them together. They're growing well. They had a slow growth or a slow adjusting period to my home, but they seem to be fine. I had the pot outside during the summertime, and it grew so much in that time. So I'll be repeating that in the new place, and hopefully it grows taller and bigger leaves. Next up is my Ficus Benjamina, which I love so much. As I mentioned in my last plant tour, it's not at its fullest as when I picked it up, but it is doing just fine. It's happy sitting next to the window and a grow light. Next up is Sunny. This is an OG. This is like one of my very first plants when I first started my plant journey. It's been through some stuff, but it's still here. I love it. Next up is Artois, another OG. I think I picked up Artois as well as Sunny on the same day from IKEA, I believe, and I'm trying to get it to grow on this makeshift DIY trellis that I created here. I gave one of my small pothos to my father a couple years ago, and what he did with it was beautiful. He had it growing up, and it started growing these massive leaves, and I was like, you know what, I want that. So I tried to replicate it, and it's growing just fine. But Artois is one of my eldest plants, and I love it so much. Next up is this Sansevieria and the snake plant that I bought also from IKEA, I believe. It's gotten bushier since I picked it up, and it's loving the pot that it's in right now. But check out this plant style that I got going on here. I have these pots sitting on other pots that I've turned over, and it's looking very nice. On the other side of my TV, I have this beautiful white bird of paradise I picked up from Home Depot. I am battling thrips with this plant right now. It's I think I have it under control. There's still some that I see, but I clean it off as soon as I do. Try to wash it off often, wash off the leaves often, but it's doing just fine. It's happy. I've had to cut off several of its leaves, and it might do better, in the summertime outside, but it's doing well. This here is one of the plants from my big pot of Monstera Deliciosa pot that I picked up. It was $15. It had a whole bunch of plants in it, and I've separated it into two pots. Actually separated it into like 3 or 4 pots based on the size of plants that were in the pot at the time. But I struggle with Monstera Deliciosas because they always get thrips when I purchase them. I don't know what it is, what I'm doing wrong, what it is about my home that it doesn't like. Maybe it's too hot, maybe it's too dry, but that's my struggle. So this plant, I just decided to take it out of the pot of soil, and I have it in this water, and I'm just trying to manage it. But I have 2 bigger plants in my bedroom, and those are also battling thrips. Next up, I have the Sansevieria which is from a big pot of Sansevieria that I used to have. I used to call it Cobra, but it died on me. It kept the stalks kept dying on me, and this is what I have left of it. But I'm doing my best, guys. All right. Next up is this pot of propagations that I put together from my other pots of Pothos plants. This one is mostly Marble Queen cuttings in here, but I decided to make this huge pot, and I think I'm going to have this one hanging once I'm able to find a spot for it. But I want to see this plant grow long and viney, and we'll see how that goes. But I love Pothos. They're just the plant that keeps on giving. Next up, we have these set of plants that are sitting on top of this small black cabinet towards the entryway. And the first plant you'll see is my J Jewel Dracaena that I've had for almost 3 years now. It seems to have a lot of dry tips or browning tips, and it's because I've been underwatering this plant. I've been kind of letting it do its thing and not stay on top of the watering, hence the dry tips. And it seems to me like the very top of that plant has dried out or died out, and it doesn't seem to be putting out any new leaves. But I'm probably going to just give it a chop at the very top to see if it's going to push out a new stem on the side. Next is a small pot of Pothos cuttings, Marble Queen Pothos. Next one is my Scindapsus pictus pot. This is one of my favorite plants. I don't play around with this one, okay? I stay on top of its watering. I've made it a lot fuller, and this was actually one of the plants that I have a video for, where I rooted propagations and repotted it back into its pot, and this is what it looks like now. Next plant is my Florida Beauty Dracaena, and this is another plant that I love so much. This one is also about 3 years old. I love the splash of cream on the leaves, on the green leaves. It's just a beautiful sight to see. But it's got some new stems that have shot up over the past couple of months or past few months, such as this one here. And yeah, it's growing very well, and I'm staying on top of this watering of this plant as well. And this is another stem that shot out, and you see another little one on the side there coming out. But I'm doing my best to keep this plant alive and well. Next up is another propagation of Pothos, Marble Queen Pothos. Yeah. Finally, the last plant that we have here is my orchid Phalaenopsis. Here we go again. Phalaenopsis orchid. And yeah, I recently did a video on that because it flowered for me for the first time since I acquired it. But I love the leaves of this plant, and I am doing my best to make sure that this plant is also very happy. Alright guys, so we have come to the end of this tour, my winter 2022/2023 plant tour of my living room area just before I move. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do before you leave. Join the family. I don't bite. And don't forget to also turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. Till next time, see you again. Shalom.